So I've invited along Tas Sculthorpe today. Tas is a person who lives with dementia. Tas is a member of the board of directors here at Caladenia and has been for the last 2.5 years. Tas has extensive experience on different boards, but I'll let him tell you about that. So welcome, Tas. Thanks very much for coming along and joining us.
That's fine.
I'd like to just start with asking you a little bit about your working life.
Oh, yeah.
And your board experience, if that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
So you worked as?
I worked in the insurance industry for 60 years.
Wow.
No long service leave, no special watch or anything like that when I left.
That's not very fair.
Oh, that's what I said, but the wife said, no, you don't need it. Because both her and I were partners in the insurance industry. I mean, I started when I was 16 and went along, and then I started my own companies, so the Foreign General and the life insurance side of things. And then up came at 2015 the nasty little brain job. So that's where we're at. I had 8.5 years with the Bank of Bendigo as the deputy director. For, as I say, for 8.5 years. Well, I didn't say, I don't know. Yeah, for 8.5 years. That's something that you give to the people.
Yep.
It's not a paid job or anything like that. You just do what you got to do. Apart from that, that's 60. That's about 70 odd years. So that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
That's really good.
And Tas, what happened when, or how did you find out that you had a diagnosis of dementia?
I was taken to a specialist, and he gave me a couple of quizzes. And I don't know that I went that well. I'm sure he didn't actually, because he took my license away. I still don't like him, but anyway.
And that was about 6 years ago?
2015.
2015, yep.
Yep.
And how did you find out about Caladenia?
That's a good question. I didn't find out about it. My wife did some snooping.
Okay.
And then she came home and said, I'm going to take you to Caladenia. I said, what, Caladenia? She told me, and I've gone, okay. So that particular day, I was sort of dropped off, and then I think it was Bronwyn that said, "Now, where would you like to sit?" And I said, right between those two ladies over there. Yeah. And we got on very well.
Yep.
Yep.
So you've been a member of the programs at Caladenia now for, Bronwyn, would it be 5 years?
5 years, I reckon.
Yep.
You reckon, Tas?
Yeah, be close.
Yep. Yeah, and a very valuable member too.
We have a lot of fun, I've got to say.
Well, that was my next question is, what do you get out of attending a group like Caladenia?
It's the enjoyment of meeting with other people, which I'm a great lover of, because I like speaking to people and find out about them, and so it goes on. It's the same when you bring a new person in. They look a little bit, oh dear, what's all this about, and all of these people, because we used to run about 28 people on a Thursday, because I used to count them, and if we were missing 3 or 4, I tried to figure out who it was. And yeah, so that's where we sort of got to. And well, Caladenia, from my point of view, is great, because we have a lot of activities which these days fills up a lot of time rather than sitting around doing nothing. You do your Zoom, that's great. You have a lot of fun with the people that do it. We've now started Thursday, which is also great, because to get together with some live people is quite nice. And we play the different games, the ball games and all of that sort of stuff. And we don't go backwards thinking how good we are at it. So and we're all very keen to be the winner, which is good. Yeah, so, and we had a new chap started the other day, Alan, and he was a little tendy about, you know, what was going on. I said, mate, just keep with us and you'll enjoy yourself. Anyway, he turned up last week and he's coming forever. So the story goes. Yeah, so it was good from that point of view. But my little bit as far as the directorship's concerned is really to look after the people that are about the place that may have a problem. They come to you and they talk to you. So you've got to be affable and you've got to be, you know, not a grumpy bum. So yes, from that point of view, I enjoy all of that. Because I said, I like talking to people and seeing if there's anything that's a problem. We have a little box out the front door where people can put in their what they think we should change to and etc. Have we had a lot of those? No, we haven't. I think we've been keeping up internally very well. Yeah, so that's...
There was, Taz, there was one change that was put into the suggestion box by yourself and actually ended up being discussed and then taken to the board. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, well, that's the defibrillator.
Yeah.
When I was with the bank, we actually bought 2 defibrillators, one for Wandon and one for Seville, and had those placed so if anything happened, people would see from the stuff on the window that, you know, the defibrillator's here or there, as the case may be. So when I turned up here and, you know, spoke to a lot of people, they're all lovely and all of that sort of stuff. We've all got plenty of age. And I felt that I wouldn't want to be the person that goes to the next of kin and say, if it had had a defibrillator, they might have lived. So the board asked me to speak to it and I said, yep, no problem at all. So I gave them that theme that it wasn't going to be me that's going to knock on the door. Somebody else will be doing that one. And they all agreed and put their hands up and said, let's buy one. So that's how we got it.
Yep.
Apart from a couple of air conditioners that I met one of the directors, we were doing a money raising thing. Was the sausage sizzle. I think we did cooked about 400 sausages, and I actually came across this bloke that said, I'm a director. And I said, oh, that's good. He said, how are you connected? I said, oh, I'm an inmate. He said, oh, no, we call them members. I said, oh, whatever. that was Peter. Anyway, I said, you know anything about occupational health and safety? He said, yes, I do. I said, well, let me run this past you. So I ran it past. The place is too hot in the summer and too cold in the winter, and people are suffering from it. And I think about 4 or 5 or 6 weeks later, we had 2 air conditioners. And then the next one was the furniture that you'd had there for a long, long time. And one of the difficulties I found, and a lot of other people did too, once you got into it, you didn't get out of it because you couldn't. So we got, well, the result was we got rid of the that older furniture and brought the new stuff in, and it's lovely. You just sit down and you get out of it, and you sit down and you get out of it. So that was all very nice too. So
you've brought about some real changes that were instigated by our clientele rather than our staff, which is fabulous.
Oh yeah, well, you know, it was the same as with the carpet in the big room. You know, it was getting stringy. Now, sooner or later, someone's going to put a toe underneath it and fall over, and that's not going to look good.
Yep.
So, you know, everybody, myself and all included, got the new carpet. Very nice, very pretty.
Yep. Yeah. And Taz, as you've already said, you joined our board of directors 2.5 years ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that, I guess I want to ask, do you feel heard on that board? Do you feel you have that your contribution is valued?
Of course I do.
Good.
I'm first from coming up. I don't sit back and just go, well, yeah, I'm not sure about that. I have an opinion. I use the opinion. People like it or dislike it as they fit. It's a well fit. Doesn't worry me in the slightest. The board is very, very good. They all work well together. You know, we go through the finances and all the other bits and pieces, so we know what's going on and you know what we can do and what we can't do when it comes up, which a little bit's come up at the moment, so that's got to be discussed at some stage and worked out. Yeah, no, people are very nice.
That's good. Good to hear. And I guess, Tas, just to finish up, and I will open the meeting for other people to ask Tas questions if they'd like to, if that's all right with you, Tas.
Yeah,
is if you could change anything in the services provided for people with dementia, including ours, and anything else that might be out there in the community, is there anything that's lacking or anything you think we should change?
no, if we did it, it'd be in that box that we've got.
In the suggestion box.
Very quickly.
Fair enough. Did anyone else want to pick Tas's brain as he straddles sort of governance and clientele of a social support group? Nope.
Too easy.
Can I just say something? Something that you didn't mention, Tas, was the fact that on more than one occasion you've been an ambassador for Caladenia.
Oh, yeah,
On the outing groups, talking to people about Caladenia, promoting our service, but also that element of welcoming new members in. You do that so well, and it's a really important thing, peer to peer. So somebody experiencing the group, but also experiencing dementia, being able to talk and encourage and include a new person to the group.
Yep.
Really valuable.
Not everybody's like me.
No.
Nothing worries me. From their point of view, it may not work that way. So you've just got to bring them in and settle them down and sit beside them and have a chat and where have you been and what have you done and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So from that point of view, it sort of eases anything that they may think, oh, hang on, what am I doing here?
Yep.
So
Certainly
that's what it's about. And being in the insurance industry for so many years, you can talk as much as you like about things that people may want to know. So yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah. And yeah, no questions for Tas, no comments. So Tas, thank you very much for sharing with us your experiences. It's been great to hear from someone who, like I said, both a service user and involved in the governance of an organisation.
Well, thank you, because you gave me the chance to do it.
Oh, that's a pleasure. That's a pleasure. I think things are much better when we design them with the people that they're designed for. So
that's good.
So yeah, Tas, you're welcome to stay and listen to us chat.
I'd love to.
While Nicole's out riding her horse in the heat.
Yes, silly her.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit about today was actually born out of one of the Knowledge Network meetings last year. And I'm so sorry, Bernadette and the staff from Dementia Australia aren't here, because it was actually one of the comments that they made in a discussion we had after Kate Swaffer's presentation, I think. And it was about the need for a support group for carers, younger carers who are caring for people with younger onset dementia, that there was nothing for them to refer to for specifically for younger carers, and the growing need for a LGBTI specific carer support group as well. And when Elizabeth and I have been talking, with the advent of COVID and now everybody meeting on Zoom, and this meeting in particular has decided to stay on Zoom to include as many people as possible, plus cut down our travel time and parking and all that sort of thing. We're in a position, Caladenia, and it will probably be in partnership with VMCH. We're in a position to offer those online carer support groups. Would anyone have anyone who they could refer immediately? But can we work out a way to just make those referral pathways really easy to use? Does anyone have anyone in mind who might use those services? It really was Bernadette and her colleagues who were talking about it, but
and it's I guess just to add to that, Sarah, I'm not sure what the best referral pathways are likely to be. It sounds like from what Bernadette said, there are more and more referrals coming through to Dementia Australia in the younger onset dementia space. But I wanted to also bring up today a recent experience that I have had that is an ongoing experience with a woman who is supporting her ex-partner who has suspected younger onset dementia. So he's yet to be diagnosed, and there is a whole lot of information and resources that this ex-couple need just to be able to navigate even making choices. So initially, I guess, obtaining information about what services are there. Is he eligible for the NDIS? If so, what will that look like? It's a very complex case in that there are some accommodation needs, there are comorbidities and a whole lot of other health issues that this gentleman has. His only support person has become his ex-wife, who doesn't necessarily, she's not choosing to be his primary support person. And I wondered, Sarah, whether in the launching of these younger onset dementia support groups, we could perhaps run a few sessions that are information sessions. So just providing a whole lot of, whether we put together a flow chart on, our respective experiences on how people can enter the system and what system they're entering and when they might need different types of supports, because I think it's incredibly overwhelming, and it's time and capacity to attend a regular meeting can be an issue, particularly in that younger onset space. And I'm learning a lot from just dealing, trying to support this couple, that they've spoken to Dementia Australia, but a whole lot of fact sheets and education sessions are not what this couple needs right now. So they might down the track, they might not. But yeah, I just feel like they need people to connect with, and they need information in a manageable format. So maybe that might be something we can tie into this group, perhaps.
Yep. Yeah, great idea. Does anyone have any suggestions that they know from their contacts that might be good places for this couple to contact? Where do they live, Elizabeth?
They live in Pakenham, which has been a slight hiccup in that we hold the support for carers funding at VMCH for the Eastern Metro region, but Pakenham, unfortunately, is just outside of that and falls into the southern region, which is fine. And so we've linked in with, the carer support groups there and the Carer Gateway for the Commonwealth funded supports. But it's just not quite as flexible as what we may have been able to pull together, because we're looking at trying to fast track, obviously, diagnosis first. So we've got a private neuropsychiatrist who can provide supplementary kind of supporting information that hopefully will be enough to fast track some NDIS, initial conversations and assessments and that type of thing. But the Royal Melbourne Hospital, I know, has a fabulous inpatient, I think it's a 2-week assessment diagnostic program, but I spoke to them last week and they have a 4-month waiting list for their public sector program, which is a great program. But then even to access any of those clinicians privately, you need to ring individual clinics and, seek kind of information on each person and where they're at and what their fees are, and which is not out of the question, but it's just not ideal given the amount of legwork and background research that's required. So yeah, accommodation is another ongoing issue that I know we've raised here as well for the younger onset dementia space. But yeah, there's a whole lot of legs to this this couple and their needs, and I think they're just falling through a whole lot of gaps, which is really unfortunate and very stressful for them both.
Deb, have you got any?
Has anyone
extra-
else?
Yeah. Any insight into that or suggestions?
Oh, well, it became quite complex. Yeah, and I mean, this is where obviously Dementia Australia, there's that big gap in there about that diagnosis. Is Cabrini still got the private assessment as well? Did that all fall apart?
No, and Deb, I've approached Dr. Luke Smith, who is the neuropsychiatrist that was in their community and cognition dementia program. So
Yeah.
that program is no longer operating as it was, unfortunately. And I did think of that. And so I spoke to Luke directly, and he gave me some names and numbers and suggestions. But it does sound like a service like the Royal Melbourne Hospital diagnostic program would be fabulous, just to ensure, you know, they've got social workers, they've got every type of clinician overseeing the diagnosis process. And so ideally that would be a wraparound type service from diagnosis to assess, you know, the individual and what their primary needs are, and trying to pull together some, you know, funding and support, and ideally fast track the NDIS process too, because that's, you know, as a standalone, quite a lengthy, arduous system to navigate when you're looking at a diagnosis of younger onset dementia, assuming that's what it is. His father passed away from younger dementia, and it seems as if it's a likely outcome. But I should, I guess, be a bit careful with my language, that I'm not assuming that he
Or labelling.
definitely has it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But anyone who has any experience or any suggestions would be, you know, it'd be great to hear from you. So it doesn't have to be right now, but if you think of anything or anyone, I'd love to hear from you, just to be able to provide the information, and, you know, I can phone around or whatever is needed. But yeah, it's tricky. It's a tricky one.
So
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, because we have our Carrington Cafe, which is for younger onset dementia. So potentially there are a group of carers that might be interested. We do have one gentleman that, well, he's not under 65 now. So he's a carer for his wife, who would have been a YOD. And he's actually, he did the men's carers group with Dementia Australia, and from that he's actually pulled those men together, and they do Zoom meetings weekly, and are going to actually organise you know, a face-to-face soon. And he was saying he's got someone that's down near Phillip Island, that's, you know, a guy that's going to come up and have coffee together. So potentially, you know, we could get that information out to quite a few carers of YODs. Yeah.
That sounds great. That's, yeah, a really good option. And again, fabulous that it is consumer led. You know, it's really meeting the needs because it's run by people who have those needs.
That's right.
Yeah, so any other suggestions around referral pathways for a new group, or does anyone have any ideas? Or
can we make it easy?
I hope so. I don't know how to do that. It would be good. Sarah, what's your suggestion? What happens with people who are interested in, you know, a general dementia care support group with Caladenia or anyone else?
Sorry, I missed the first part of what you said. Our bus was parking.
Oh, sorry. I guess in terms of referral, what do you find works well? Just phoning directly or email, or how do people access?
Phoning directly. I think people are often so stressed by the time they're given a lot of this information that I know from my experience, if a carer comes to me, I'll actually say, do you want me to ring them and get them to ring you? Because having that number in front of them, sometimes that task is just insurmountable or not achievable for a couple of weeks, even to a couple of months. And just, I know that, you know, that sometimes those referral pathways are there, but it's often easier for the carer if we do a little bit of that legwork for them. Yeah, just to, especially if we do have contacts. And Elizabeth, have you spoken to Weena at Mequicare?
No, is that for Hack PYP funding? Are you thinking?
Yeah, she and I, before
good.
COVID, we're going to convert our Hack PYP funding, or some of it, into a bit of a project where we actually did exactly what you've said today, pulled together all the little bits of services that we're providing, stuff for people with younger onset dementia, not just in one geographical region, but across, because you've got somebody in Pakenham who may be closer to that. Anyway, across all the geographic regions. And Weena and I were going to work together on that, but then of course we got sidelined with COVID and all sorts of stuff. But I'm happy to make contact with her again, and just reopen that. And even if she hasn't got anything specific for this particular couple, she may be a great one to invite along, to speak about the services that they provide with their Hack PYP funding.
Yeah, thank you. That sounds great. And I'm, yeah, very happy to contact Weena directly, or have you re-engage, you know, with the previous conversations you've had, or just have her come along to this meeting, whatever works. Sounds great. Good idea.
I had contact with Mequicare for the Hack PYP recently, and they're charging $1 an hour for services. So, yeah.
That's pretty good, right?
Oh, very good. So, so $1 an hour. So potentially, you know, for this gentleman could get some quick service in the house to, you know, help the ex-wife, and so it'd be a good contact just to try and get some service quickly. That's for sure.
Elizabeth, maybe you contact Weena directly, and I'll contact her as well, just about the network and some other information. I wouldn't want to hold you up.
Yeah. Thank you. That sounds great. I will do that. Thank you. Thanks, Deb. Thanks, Sarah.
Terrific. All right, well, I'll put out just some really basic information about these two support groups. I won't plan them until we actually have some referrals and find out what suits them, as in days, times, format, that type of thing. And I'll distribute that to the whole network just on a really simple flyer. Did anyone else have anything else they wanted to bring up or tell us about, or celebrate, or skite about? No.
No.
We're a quiet meeting today, aren't we? Everybody must be a little bit brain fogged at the end of the first month of a new year. It's been terrific to see you all. I'm going to be on leave for the next couple of weeks. Elizabeth will organise the next couple of meetings. I will drop in if I'm not, you know, basking on a beach somewhere. Who knows where? It depends on what state we can get into and whether we can get out of them again. But it's been lovely to see you today, and thanks for coming. I'll distribute the video and last month's video as well. Last fortnight, sorry.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you,
Taz.
Taz.
Yeah,
Bye.
Thanks, Taz.
good. All done.